Rain hammered against the towering glass windows of the Ashford estate as billionaire Daniel Ashford stepped silently into his mansion after ending another exhausting board meeting hours early. His polished shoes echoed across the marble floor until an unexpected sound stopped him in his tracks. Laughter, not the polite giggles of wealthy children raised by tutors and etiquette coaches. Real laughter, the kind that came from pure happiness. Curious, Daniel followed the joyful noise toward the playroom. What he saw stole the breath from his lungs. His 3 6-year-old triplets, Ethan, Emma, and Ellie, were riding on the back of the family's new maid, a young black woman named Naomi Carter. She crawled across the carpet, neighing like a horse, while the children squealed with delight. Naomi's uniform was covered in dust. Her knees were red from crawling, yet the smile on her face was brighter than anything Daniel had seen inside. His cold mansion in years. His expression hardened. He was about to demand an explanation when Naomi suddenly looked up and quietly said words that froze him where he stood. They haven't laughed like this because they've been trying to make someone forget they're lonely. For a moment, time itself seemed to stop. Before we continue this unforgettable story, please take a second to like this video, subscribe to Kindness of Power, and turn on notifications so you never miss another inspiring story. Also, we'd love to know where you're watching from. Leave a comment below telling us your city and country, and become part of our growing family. Daniel said nothing. Neither did the children. The room, filled with laughter only seconds earlier, became painfully silent. Naomi slowly helped the children climb off her back. "I'm sorry, sir," she said respectfully. "I finished my cleaning, and they asked if I could play." Daniel glanced at his children. Usually when he came home, they barely looked up from their tablets. Now they stood close to Naomi as though she were their safest place. Emma reached for Naomi's hand. "Daddy," she whispered nervously. "Please don't fire her." Daniel's eyebrows lifted. "Why would you think I'd fire her?" Ethan answered before anyone else could. "Because everyone who makes us smile leaves." Those words struck harder than any business loss Daniel had ever experienced. Years ago, his wife Sophia had passed away after a sudden illness. Since then, Daniel had buried himself in work, convincing himself that endless success would secure his children's future. He hired the best chefs, the finest teachers, the most expensive therapists, the most qualified nannies. Yet none of them stayed long. Some couldn't handle Daniel's impossible standards. Others left because the mansion felt cold despite its luxury. The children had learned not to get attached. Until Naomi arrived, she had worked at the estate for only 3 weeks. But somehow everything had begun changing. The kitchen staff laughed more. The gardeners smiled. Even the old house manager admitted the mansion finally felt alive again. Daniel hadn't paid attention until now. "Everyone out," Daniel finally said. The children immediately clung tighter to Naomi. She gently knelt beside them. "It's okay," she whispered softly. "Go wait in the library. I'll be there soon." Reluctantly, the triplets walked away. Daniel folded his arms. "You become very popular." Naomi nodded. "Politely, they're wonderful. Children, they've had every opportunity money can buy." She looked directly into his eyes. "Children don't measure love in opportunities." Daniel's jaw tightened. "They measure it in moments?" Her answer irritated him. "You've known them less than a month. I don't need years to notice when children are hurting." "And what exactly have you noticed?" Naomi hesitated. "I don't wish to overstep. I asked." She inhaled deeply. "They don't miss expensive vacations. They don't care about private schools. They miss bedtime stories." Daniel remained silent. "They miss scraped knees being kissed." Still silent. "They miss someone sitting beside them when they have nightmares." His expression slowly changed. Naomi continued, gently. "They're not asking for more gifts. They're asking for their father." Daniel looked away. For years, he had believed providing financially was the greatest expression of love. Now a maid earning in a month. What he made before breakfast was quietly dismantling every belief he had built his life upon. You've made a lot of assumptions. No. Sir, she smiled sadly. I've listened. That evening, Daniel skipped his scheduled investor dinner for the first time in nearly 8 years. Instead, he awkwardly knocked on the children's bedroom door. 3 shocked little faces looked back at him. Daddy, I thought maybe, he cleared his throat, maybe I could read you a story. The children exchanged confused glances. Emma smiled first, then Ellie. Then Ethan raced across the room and hugged him so tightly. Daniel nearly lost his balance. That night, Daniel stumbled through 3 chapters of a fairy tale. He mispronounced names, forgot character voices, skipped pages accidentally. The children didn't care. For the first time since Sophia died, they fell asleep smiling. Standing outside their bedroom afterward, Daniel noticed Naomi quietly folding laundry nearby. You planned this, didn't you? She looked surprised. I only reminded them of what they were missing. And me? You already knew. Daniel couldn't sleep that night. Instead, he wandered through the silent mansion. Every room reminded him of Sophia. She had once filled these halls with music, birthday decorations, dance, parties in the kitchen, blanket, forts in the living room. After losing her, Daniel had mistaken silence for strength. He had locked away his grief, and unknowingly locked away his children too. The next morning, something extraordinary happened. Daniel canceled every meeting before noon. His executives thought he was sick. His assistant nearly fainted. Instead, Daniel made pancakes, or at least attempted to. The kitchen looked like a flower explosion. The pancakes burned. Smoke alarms screamed. The triplets laughed. So hard they cried. Naomi watched quietly from the doorway. Not because breakfast was perfect, but because healing had finally begun. Neither of them knew that someone else inside the mansion had been watching. 2, someone who believed Naomi was becoming far too important, and that person was already planning to make sure she disappeared forever. The person watching from the shadows was Victoria Langston, Daniel Ashford's longtime executive assistant. For nearly 15 years, she had managed every detail of his business and personal schedule. She knew when he woke up, where he traveled, and whom he trusted. More importantly, she knew that the more time Daniel spent with his children, the less control she had over his life. Victoria had convinced herself that Naomi was manipulating the family. In her mind, no housemaid could earn such affection without having hidden motives. The following morning, she quietly entered Daniel's office carrying a neatly organized folder. "Sir," she began carefully, "I've noticed the maid becoming unusually close to your children. You may want to be cautious." Daniel looked up from his laptop. "Cautious of what?" Victoria hesitated just long enough to sound believable. "People have taken advantage of wealthy families. Before." Daniel closed the folder, without even opening it. "Naomi has done nothing except care for my children," Victoria forced a smile. But disappointment flashed across her face. "I only wanted to protect your family." After she left, Daniel couldn't stop thinking. Not because he doubted Naomi, but because he realized how strange it was that genuine kindness had begun to look suspicious to him. Somewhere along the way, success had taught him to question every good intention. That afternoon, Daniel decided to learn more about Naomi, not through rumors, but by asking her himself. He found her planting flowers with the triplets in the garden. The children were covered in dirt, so was Naomi. For once, Daniel didn't mind. "Would you walk with me?" he asked. Naomi nodded. As they strolled through the estate, Daniel finally asked, "Why did you become a maid?" Naomi smiled softly. "I didn't dream of becoming one. What did you dream of?" "Being a teacher." "What happened?" She looked toward the sky. "My mother became sick. Every dollar I earned went toward her treatment. When she passed away, I had debts instead of a diploma." "I'm sorry," she shrugged gently. "Life doesn't always follow our plans." Daniel remained quiet. Then, Naomi added something that made him stop walking. "My Mother used to clean houses, too. Daniel looked at her. She always told me something I'll never forget. What was it? Naomi smiled through misty eyes. Never let your job decide your worth. A person who cleans a floor can still lift someone's heart. Daniel felt a lump rise in his throat. For years, he had judged people by resumes, titles, and income. Naomi judged people by compassion. A week later, the mansion looked completely different. Family dinners returned. Movie nights filled the living room. The triplets no longer ate in silence. Daniel even learned to braid Ellie's hair. Badly. Every evening, laughter echoed through halls that had once felt like a museum. But Victoria wasn't finished. Determined to remove Naomi, she secretly slipped an expensive diamond bracelet into Naomi's cleaning cart before calling security. Within minutes, guards stopped Naomi near the front entrance. Daniel arrived just as the bracelet was pulled from her supplies. Victoria sighed. Dramatically, I was afraid something like this would happen. The children burst into tears. No! Emma screamed. Naomi didn't steal anything. Security looked uncertain. Daniel stared at Naomi. She never defended herself. She simply stood, quietly. Search my locker, she said, calmly. You'll find nothing. Daniel looked into her eyes. There wasn't fear. There wasn't panic. Only dignity. Instead of accusing her, Daniel ordered the security team to review every camera inside the mansion. Victoria's face instantly lost its color. An hour later, the footage revealed everything, every movement, every lie, every second of Victoria planting the bracelet herself. The room fell silent. Victoria broke down. I was trying to protect you, she cried. No, Daniel replied quietly. You were trying to protect your control. Security escorted Victoria from the estate. Before leaving, she glanced back at Naomi. I'm sorry. Naomi simply nodded. I hope you find peace. Even after everything, she chose forgiveness. That single moment taught Daniel more about strength than any business victory ever had. A month later, Daniel announced something that surprised everyone. He established the Sophia Ashford Foundation in honor of his late wife. Its mission was simple: provide scholarships for domestic workers and their children who dreamed of becoming teachers, nurses, doctors, or entrepreneurs. The very first scholarship carried one name, Naomi Carter. When Daniel handed her the acceptance letter, she couldn't speak. I don't know what to say. He smiled. Say yes. Tears streamed down her face. You've already changed this family, Daniel continued. Now it's time to change your own future. Years later, Naomi graduated with honors and became an elementary school teacher, inspiring hundreds of children with the same warmth that had once healed. 3 lonely little hearts. She still visited the Ashford family every Sunday. The triplets no longer called her Miss Naomi. They simply called her family. One quiet evening, as the sun painted the sky in shades of gold, Daniel stood on the back porch watching his now growing children laugh with Naomi in the garden. Emma noticed him smiling. Dad? Yes? Remember when you caught Naomi pretending to be our horse? Daniel laughed. I'll never forget, Emma grinned. You thought she was doing something wrong. Daniel nodded slowly. I did. What changed? He looked toward Naomi, who was helping Ethan and Ellie plant another flower bed. I realized she wasn't carrying my children. Emma tilted her head. What do you mean? Daniel's eyes filled with emotion. She was carrying all of us. Sometimes the richest person in the room isn't the one with the biggest bank account. Sometimes it's the one with the biggest heart. Naomi arrived at the Ashford mansion with empty pockets but an overflowing spirit. Daniel had every luxury money could buy, yet he had forgotten how priceless his own family was. In the end, the greatest gift wasn't wealth, success, or power. It was choosing love before it was too late. If this story touched your heart, please subscribe to Kindness of Power, like this video, and share it with someone who believes kindness can truly change lives. And before you go, don't forget to tell us in the comments, what city and country are you watching from? Your story may inspire someone across the world. Until next time, remember, one act of kindness can change a family, a future, and even a life forever.